Hey guys, welcome to a new video. In this video we're gonna go through Bitcoin, Ethereum, but mostly all the altcoin suggestions you guys posted on Twitter. I asked you guys to request a couple of alts and you guys went ham, so I'm gonna do like 20 of them. So stay tuned, and if you're looking for the specific alt you're looking for, then on the right I just got a watch list so you can kind of see where in the video they will be. Um, and before we start, I'd like to remind you that if you're looking for anything like a new exchange or deposit bonus, whatever, check out the partners below and let's get into it. All right. So don't mind this doodle too much. This was something I drew like before this drawdown. I thought we would be getting some weeks of consolidation around this region. So far this doodle's kind of playing out. I'm not sure if we actually go down and test this level once more, but it was just an idea. I've been of the assumption that after the ETF we would slow down a bit, which we did. I did fill some bits down here, which I also shared on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And overall, I'm pretty neutral to bullish currently. Higher time frame, obviously bullish. But I'm not sure if we go straight to new highs from here. I don't know. Maybe we will. I mean, had quite the correction. It was over 20% on Bitcoin, even more on ETH, and much more on alts, which went down to like 35% or something. But for now, I wouldn't be surprised to see us indeed do something like this, like range around this 40 to 45k region for a while. And then when we get close to the halving, which is in like half April currently is estimated to be, then we're slowly just going to grind up and put our next big higher leg up in. If at some point we would get down to like this 36-ish area, I would definitely be looking to deploy more stables myself for like longer term holds. I'm also aware that most people seem to be waiting for this level, but keep in mind, we may not even get here. So if that happens, all these people will be sidelined. And usually, if we do actually get to this point, people will be too afraid or too scared to buy, and they will change their targets to like 32k or like 30k or 28k, whatever, and they will just keep on lowering their targets until eventually, obviously, we're gonna bounce and then they miss out. So keep that in mind. On to ETH. Some doodle I had drawn out as well. Not sure if we actually get this, but this would be a nice area, I think, if we would make some kind of deviation like this. I do still think that throughout most of 24, ETH still has some catching up to do to Bitcoin. So I also think ETH BTC will go up eventually. That's why I'm mostly focused on long-term ETH for the time being. I do also think BTC will outperform again sometime later in the cycle, but for now I'm mostly interested in ETH, and I think also if ETH goes, then most altcoins will do well. Not sure if we go lower here. Kind of depends on if we can break above 2400, because I think if we would do something like this, where we break above and we hold it, then I think we're gonna go straight to new highs, and probably that's like the 3k area. So that's kind of my line in the sand for this level in between. And until we break above this 2400 area or below 2150 or something, which is a level that has been tested a lot of times, as you can see. Important level, this red line. I think until we break one of those, we'll just keep ranging in between as we have been doing. And people have just been getting chopped up in this range. And who knows, maybe it takes like another 2-3 months or a couple of weeks before we actually get a move up or down. So keep that in mind. Currently, there's no strong trend towards either side on this lower time frame. So just don't overextend too much. Then onto the coins. First off, and you can see all of them right here. So if your suggestion is in there, congratulations. I hope you will enjoy what I have to say about it. So just a few new coins to start off. So these are lower time frame, obviously, because there's not much price history. Jupiter, newest big airdrop launch thing, Solana coin, whatever. Obviously, this sold off quite a bit, basically from the start, which is kind of rare, because you will get quickly into the other charts in a bit. Recently, these newer coins, the new launches, doesn't matter how high valued they are, they tend to go up quite a lot the first few days or week or something. And then usually Binance Futures lists them, and then they sell off a bit, and then they kind of chop around for a bit. But usually the new launches do quite well. So this didn't. Obviously, there was a lot of things going on with the team selling, all that kind of stuff. But for now, we're just going to focus on the chart. I do think we formed this range. I mean, the bottom range is a bit cleaner, but if this was just a deviation here, it should go and maybe test this range high. So I'm just watching this. I do think these, if you really want to trade during these choppy times, these newer coins are better because they generally get more volume and more action, and everyone seems to be watching them. So they tend to move a lot more. And obviously, be careful because that means a lot of volatility, but it also means they're better for trading, especially when the other coins aren't really moving much. Another nice one is SETA. I do own some of this currently. I didn't buy it at the launch, which I should have in hindsight. But this basically, I mean, we had a small dump from the start and it took straight off. Then Binance Futures listed it somewhere around here. And from there on out, it kind of sold off for like 40% in a few days. But it's like a new shiny coin, layer 2, 1. I don't even know. To be fair, I'm just trading a chart. But seems to be broken out of this lower time frame trend line. So depending on how you draw it, of course, it had a few of these already. Like if we take this wick, for example, and you draw it like this, we had a bit of a false breakout here a few times. So keep in mind, if it just keeps failing the actual breakout, it shows some weakness. But for now, seems to be a bit of a move. If we were to fall back down, then obviously I like to always keep the golden Fibonacci retracement level in mind, which is the 0.618 and a bit below. So if we were to reject, then this would be a zone that has my attention, which also lines up nicely with this consolidation up here, which should offer some support. So yeah, new launch, also a lot of volume, a lot of volatility, so be careful with that. Manta, another one. This thing seems to really have slowed down quite a bit. This is obviously a big coin. Slow grind up from the start, was quite a big move considering the size of this coin. And now we're down like 30% or so. I would want to see this break back above the let's say 290-ish area to really show some strength again, because for now I do feel like this is a breakdown, and if we reject here, then we might just go down and fill like the listing lows, let's say. Obviously not the wick, I'm not sure where that went. Oh, basically at 0, so but I think this would be a good area to watch for in case we do see further weakness. To easily journal and track your trades, consider trying out Coin Market Manager. It's as simple as connecting your exchange API to the website to get your analytics ready. Sign up using the link below, get a 14-day trial, and I hope you really enjoy it. I know I've been using it for a while and I can't go without at this point. Onto alt or alt layer. Kind of the similar chart to Manta, as you can see. Bit up, then down, and now I think this is where Manta is kind of trading like. It's similar looking at the chart. So in that case, this did indeed already head to these lows, which we were just talking about the Manta. So approximately down here. And it seems like there's some support being found around here. In case of a further breakdown, I would watch for a sweep of 28 cents. But generally, keep in mind, like these new launches tend to go up quite a lot. Especially these Binance coins, the Launchpad and Launchpool coins, they go up a bit and then they tend to just bleed down for like a couple of weeks or months. Then they go sideways for a few weeks or months, and then at some point they go up. So roughly, and don't mind the time frame, but just what the chart looks like, it tends to bleed down, then it ranges a bit, and you get some kind of rounded bottom. And then after that it tends to just retrace everything and go up. Obviously, this is just like a few weeks from now, so usually takes longer, but you can really see that well on a coin like MEF, I think. No, not the A. Yeah, so this is kind of like the typical Binance Launchpad or Launchpool coin. So you can see pump at the start, slowly down for, let's say, about 6 weeks in this case. And then you get this very choppy price action down here with like a rounded-ish bottom, and then you just get this kind of move up, which, I mean, it's very hard to get in. I mean, obviously you get a lot of dips, but every time it looks like it's just about to completely get nuked, but then it tends to go up again, which is the same price action as we're seeing on Sui, which was always also a coin which is had a big investment by Binance, so I assume these have the same market makers, and you can see it's just the same kind of structure over and over again. So these new coins can be good to trade at the start, but also be careful, like at some point they probably bleed down a bit, and then once they find the floor, they could be a good buy for like a longer term move. So keep that in mind. All right, on to like the longer existing coins now. Big one, Link, which has shown a lot of strength recently. So it was basically in this range for a while now. But considering the move it made before this, like let's say this kind of move, basically up only for like a 3x, then to have it only go down like, let's say 25, 30-ish% at max, while most of the market sold off much more than this. This basically held its range, and now it seems to be trying to break out again. This is, for me, the last level to stand in the way of like this move into the 20s. So let's see if we can do it. We've been holding this since this range retake down here, which is also something I was tweeting out in advance. I was like, I think somewhere around here, I was like, okay, give me this breakdown, deviation, and then I'll join the Link Marines. So on this retake here, I was like, okay, ball a long-term back, we'll see. And it has been one of the most comfy holds so far. I mean, clear range breakout, we're just holding nicely above it and seems to want to go up further. And I think this is one of the few older coins that can actually make it back to their all-time highs. Doesn't always say a thing, but it has so much adoption, like all of the DeFi space is basically on Link, and just a very strong community, and the chart looks great, so I do like this for a longer term hold. ADA, as suggested as well, looks pretty strong still. I mean, this was a nice move, obviously rejected a bit here. If at some point we would get a move down to like 40 cents, I would be interested in potentially buying if we hold there. And then from there on out, it can hopefully make the next leg up. And I think this is the final boss, like roughly where it rejected. So like 68 cents to like 75 cents. Once you break above this area, I think then you can get a similar move like Link. So Link is kind of testing this area already. If you go up a bit. And then if it does that, then you can make your way up to like 125-ish. As in between here, this was all at the start of the Luna collapse or during all these kind of moves, and it's the same on most charts, but there's like little to no resistance build up here because it was basically straight down, especially on like the weekly candles. So that depends, that the quicker it usually goes down, the quicker it also will go up if it will reach that zone. So keep that in mind, could be some fighted moves at some point later in the cycle. Arbitrum, kind of screwing around with its previous all-time high here. I mean, it was trading above it for a while, then it fell down. Obviously, also because ETH BTC sold off a lot again. That doesn't really help coins like Arbitrum, Lido, Optimism, because they're better coins on ETH. So still looks good. I mean, it's one of my bigger long-term holds. Would want to see if it can get back above this previous all-time high, although I think consolidating around it for this long doesn't give it that much more value, this exact level. In the end, I would just want to see this hold above like at least this 130-ish area and the daily 200 EMA and MA. If that happens on the higher time frame, I'm perfectly happy with this. Good to note, in March, not sure the exact date, there's like a big unlock of Arbitrum tokens. I think it's quite large. So there's a lot of people bearish about it, obviously thinking like supply goes up, might see a sell-off. I think that happened with Optimism as well. But I think this is all very market dependent, because we've also seen many occasions where big unlocks tend to have the opposite effect, where maybe it already got sold OTC or whatever, so everyone that sold in anticipation of it or started shorting might just buy back at some point because the market isn't really selling off. So they're like, okay, what am I doing in these shorts? Or they just buy back their spot bags, something like that. So yeah, it really depends. Like in a bullish market, I mean, it's kind of the phrase in crypto, like the bullish unlocks. So there's a lot of anticipation of downside, but when it doesn't come, it usually just has the opposite effect and it causes quite a surge. So we'll have to see if a lot of the supply does actually hit the market and what the effect will be. Ape, I think this is one of the most messy charts, and I really think this coin needs an NFT season because these NFTs, they've kind of been holding steady for the past couple of months. NFTs in general, there's some pumps here and there. The Apache Penguins did really great, but the apes kinda not doing much. And I think they're heavily, like these two are heavily dependent on each other. So if the NFTs go up, the coin will likely go up and vice versa. So for this to really get going, I would want to see it break this zone. Also daily 200 MA, EMA, which has been rejecting price over and over and over. And also just this area. And I think once it's above like $2, then we can look for higher, and it would probably also spark some kind of new NFT season. But I don't think we're really gonna get an NFT season until after a big run by ETH, because obviously the NFTs on like these other chains, maybe Solana, are doing well if Solana does well, but as ETH has been bleeding down, and ETH still holds the main NFT market, it's just not great for these NFTs. And I do think we'll need an NFT run or an ETH run before we get an NFT run, and also that will matter when Ape starts going. XRP, also extremely messy. Main thing I want to highlight is we are making higher lows, also higher highs in a way. But yeah, the XRP SEC court case win did still mark the top, and we're like 40% below it still. Really not interested until we flip the day or two on it, MA and EMA. And then at some point, if this starts curling up like this, you can get some kind of massive breakout, maybe with some catalyst. But still, this coin is still massive, so it's really hard to move it at this point. I do think it will move again, but I would want to see some strength first. Fenry, or previously TVK. GameFi coin, I mean, they've been doing a lot of stuff. I do hold some of this. But the chart is just not moving. I mean, to be fair, also on the downside, it's not moving as much as most other coins. But for this to get going, I would really want to see it break above like this 6.5, 7 cent area. And then from there on out, it can hopefully get going. Chart is pretty new. Coin is a bit older, but they rebranded, so that's why. Uniswap. I mean, it's looking okay as long as it holds above this channel. They turned MA, EMA, but we know these ETH DeFi coins have not been doing great, while ETH hasn't been doing great. So I also think this is heavily dependent on what ETH does. And once the ETH BTC ratio starts going up, I do think all these ETH DeFi coins will also start moving. So yeah, and then the main zone would be like 750-ish and holding above there. I think that could leave open the room for like, let's say $10 and then maybe $12.50-ish to take out these highs. But for now, also waiting on ETH. Phil, or Foul, whatever. Kinda interesting structure. I mean, this coin tends to move quite violently. Like it either goes up or down a lot, and there's not really much in between. So currently finding some support here. If it would have to bounce anywhere, it should be here, in my opinion. And I mean, we see higher lows, but also lower highs. So generally, at some point, we do want to break above this high and confirm like a proper market structure break. I mean, you could already argue that this was a lower high, and then we made a higher high here. So obviously, most coins on the high time frame look pretty decent, but I would want to see like a move further up here and not really falling much lower than like the 200 MA. Because I think below here it would really look weak, and there's probably better alternatives out there at that point. Near looks pretty good as long as it holds here. I think so. And that rhymes as well. Nice. So this would be a nice area as well, like 220-ish, if we'd get it. Has some nice confluence with FIB retracement and daily 200 EMA, which is the blue one. Overall, I do think just these things will go in these cycles which we're seeing. So we had these layer ones all going well, led by Solana. And I think if Solana makes another big move, then people will look for alternatives as well. And Near will probably do well as well. Yeah, overall, I mean, pretty good. Let's see where it can make a higher high because this was obviously one big impulsive move up. So it will try to find a higher low somewhere and then change around the market structure and go from there. But I mean, longer term, all these look pretty solid, I think. Just got to figure out where, if you're looking for like a longer term hold, where to allocate. And you're probably best off just DCAing in on your favorite projects. Rune, same thing in a way, but this has had a massive move coupled with a lot of volume, which is good to see. So right now, it kind of front ran this 0.618 from this recent move up, but looks pretty decent. And for like continuation up, I would just watch for like a breakout of these diagonal trends, something like that. But overall, I think this is one of the stronger looking coins as well on the higher time frames. And I think any dips in these regions, which is quite a bit lower, but if you'd get them, I think they could be good opportunities depending on the reaction, of course. Like, let's say you drift back into this area and this is relevant for all the coins and it just keeps holding here, but it doesn't really bounce at all, and it starts grinding lower, then at some point you just have to say, okay, this is not it. There's like not enough demand here, and it might just do one of these and then actually go up to take out all the buyers in this region. So keep that in mind. Like support zones can be good, or they can have a lot of confluence, but if there's like no reaction or no buyers, then it tells you something as well. Pair, whatever you want to call it. I always compare this to a link a lot. Like the chart is very similar. So we have this range high. It broke out, but comparing to link, like this was a range breakout. First off, it went much higher, and then it held up there. And then we have pair, which did go up, but I mean, it also went down a lot, and now it's retesting this range high again. So if it holds here, I mean, it's a good support level. So if it holds here, all good, and would want to see this grind higher. But if this would really start falling back into this range, I don't think it's the greatest look, and in that case I would prefer to look for alternatives. But this is a GameFi coin. I'm bullish on that sector for this cycle, or long term in general. So if we'd get some GameFi season sparked by whatever, I do think this would be a good coin to watch. Polkadot, not sure what to say about this. I mean, I've held this through somewhere in this last cycle. Underperformed a lot after hitting its high. Decent level here, nice retest. I think this thing is still so highly valued for what it does and for the little adoption it has. Like was all this hype around this parachain and all that stuff, but nothing really came of it as far as I know, and there's just not that much demand for this. Or like maybe if this changes around at some point, I would be converted, but for now, even though the chart looks perfectly fine, but to really get going, this should really break above this $10 region and then confirm this breakout of the range. But I don't know, I think there's probably better alternatives out there. AVAX, this thing has just mainly been following Solana. Pretty strong, looks good. I'm not sure if it has as much like real adoption, and it's probably mainly following Solana because they tend to move together a lot like they did in 2021. But still pretty active chain. Wouldn't rule it out at all, but not something I hold at this point. And if we'd get like a dip down at this area, I would likely be a buyer for like a higher term swing trade, something like that. ICP, or Internet Computer. I mean, we won't talk about the massive sell-off from the launch. Since then, like since the bottom here in October, it has like quadrupled, basically. So this has done a good job, and I think also here retesting this previous range high, or like at least this horizontal level. I think as long as it holds above 10, at some point we'll just attempt to move higher at like this 15 region again. And if it flips this, I do think it's due for a move higher to like the 20s, something like that. And as you can see, many of these charts are just very similar. I mean, this is kind of similar to like Link again in some way. So most of these coins move together. They look the same. Some are stronger than the others, and I would always personally stick to the stronger and the newer coins, because generally during a cycle they will outperform. All right, second to last, Matic. Kind of slow. I mean, even since the October rally, it's not up that much. I think even Bitcoin outperformed this. So, I mean, it's a good support area, but I wouldn't want to see this go lower here. But it should hold, and then hopefully it can break this diagonal. We had a breakout here, but it deviated back down, so wasn't ready to break out just yet. But I mean, if it breaks above here, like above 94 cents ish, I would start looking for longs, as it might mark the move of a bigger high time frame move higher. But yeah, I mean, also pretty large coin. Not sure if this will outperform many. It will probably be a bit more steady than most coins, but I also think there's better alternatives out there. But obviously, this is all my own opinion, and I'm not looking into all the tech of all these coins at all. Just mainly preferring like the newer coins, which have like a lot of fresh hope, not as many back holders, and not as much price history. So it's easier to move into price discovery. Beam is one of those coins which also rebranded. It was Merit Circle first, if I'm not mistaken. Had a huge move up from that point. I mean, I'm kind of sad because there were some friends that were bullish on it down here, or like earlier before the rebrand, and then it went on this massive rally. And this is also a GameFi coin, so I should have had some allocation in this, but I didn't. Right now, it just seems to be consolidating, and I mean the fact that it's kind of holding steady in this region. Obviously, this is quite a huge range, but still, at some point I do think this will go for a next leg higher, and I also think this would be sparked by a GameFi season in one way or another, depending on how that will come or occur. I do think for this GameFi season we need some kind of new game which really goes viral or something, or like a big race, or just a lot of adoption like Xe did back in the day. I think that would really spark a lot of upside for these coins, which have been seeing a lot of development and a lot of funding. But for now, I think the main focus remains on the bigger coins, which tends to be the case early on in the cycle. And I do hope ETH would be next to really lead a lot of these DeFi coins and these ETH related coins up, which have been doing quite poorly most recently, like the past year. All right, with that, I'm gonna mark the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I wish you all the best of luck in the markets, and take care. Bye bye.